always say, it's a deliberate act, I believe, to keep Africa in the dark.
Oh, really?
You know, people go, oh yeah, but no, it's not their fault that people in the rural areas are more disadvantaged than people in the cities.
With the way you're speaking, it seems like you see potential here.
There's vast potential, and it's essential that we keep people in our rural areas. We keep them here, but we don't have to keep them in abject poverty.
Exactly.
You know, we keep them here so that they can be, that they can become self-sufficient. Because the other thing is, I'm not a big fan of NGOs, because NGOs have delivered very little. If you consider how many millions have been pumped into this country over the last 20 years, and how much outcome there has been, and what still exists. If you ask in this community, I think we have 2 projects out of, I don't know, 40. So all that this has done is beggared our people. They're now beggars. They now come, oh, you know, please can you...
Oh.
No, we need to start letting them think like well-educated, enabled people who can become self-sufficient. Give people, African people, back their pride.
Exactly. People are becoming
Give them their
beggars.
history and give them their pride.
Give them what?
Why are you ashamed of your history? You know, pre-colonialism, there were great kingdoms in Africa.
Yes. Thriving.
Thriving. I went to Benin City, all that's left of the thriving, Benin City in Nigeria, all that's left of a thriving absolute kingdom is one little building, one mud building. It's like, you know, the guy was like, no, you must take a photograph of this. And I was like, only after I researched did I realize that Benin City was the most incredible place. I went to Bamoun in Fumban, it's a city called Fumban in Cameroon. Also a kingdom. The king there in the 1800s actually invented a written language.
Really?
You know, everybody's like, oh, African people didn't write. And whatever.
Exactly.
Because you had there's a word for it, a literal sort of, not literal is the wrong word, but you told stories and you passed on information by word, not by writing.
You see, we had our own way of doing things.
Exactly. What's wrong with that?
And then comes other people and say, what you're doing is
what
wrong.
you're doing is wrong. You gave all and you continue to do so with the other colonizers, and you keep giving away Africa.
Do you think that the community should do more? I mean, we're talking about projects that they can do to benefit themselves here as a community, rather than waiting for a savior to come and save them.
You're expecting people who don't know to do more when they don't know what they could or should be doing. I believe that we need to really do something about our education system. You know, because we need to educate the next generation. Our next generation are going to turn out to be absolute nitwits.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
So you want to transform rural areas? Start with basics like network.
On my way to see Dr. CCBY, I met this amazing woman who was busy painting her kitchen, preparing for a competition that was about to happen in the community. I had to stop by and greet Gogo and learn a thing or two. I'm telling you, it was really interesting. This is how they paint the houses here in the rural areas. Look at the design and how they're doing everything. It's unique. Can you ask her if they do this every year? Oh, they do it every year?
Yes.
So, do they use the same design every year or they can change the design? Oh, it means it changes.
Yeah.
So what do they use really to make? Only?
Okay,
Yeah,
she's saying she used that mud.
Okay.
And after she's done, she's going to decorate using that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
amazing.
It's really nice, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, as you can see, Gogo is painting, showing us how it's done. It's amazing. As for me, I would have loved to do it, but
I don't want to mess up the design. Gogo knows best. Gogo knows best. So it's amazing how it's coming out. And so here, like this.
Right.
And then inside.
Yes, inside.
Thank you, Gogo.
These patterns are the patterns that the women paint on their homes here. So when they paint on their homes, they paint with mud, ash, sand, and charcoal.
We are going to see a majestic view.
Yes, this is what nobody could see that I could see when I came here.
Yeah.
Which is just this majestic Matobo landscape. I mean, my land is still very unfinished. I want to build a reservoir here. Because the land naturally slopes downwards, so this would be a good place for a reservoir. But when you come to the edge here, so there's a natural granite ridge all the way along here. And this is actually the grazing lands for our two villages, and there are sometimes the traffic is quite heavy. There's lots of cowbells. That's about the only traffic down there.
You have a heart for Africa.
I do. I always say to people I have an African heart, but unfortunately I wasn't made for Africa.
But you're still here. You're here.
Absolutely, I'm here. Absolutely, and I'm as committed as ever to, despite all the frustrations and days that I just want to kill somebody, but I don't. I still passionately believe that there is a vast and wonderful future for Africa if African people would wake up.
We should wake up.
You have to wake up. You have to wake up. You know, I see in the cities, people are no longer proud. They don't longer give a shit.
Exactly.
They don't care.
Exactly.
You know, that attitude is going to kill this country. You have to care. You have to fight for what you want. You have to fight for your families, your pride, your culture. And that doesn't mean you have to fight other cultures, because that's the other thing. Is like, for heaven's sake, tribalism is over, okay?
Yes.
Everybody in the world got conquered by somebody else,
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
Everybody got displaced or misplaced by somebody else. Let's be Zimbabwean first, and whatever else you are, celebrate your Africanness. Celebrate it. Celebrate your tribe. But please you can't celebrate you if you're bringing somebody else down.
You know, what you're saying, if you ever think of it, like Harare and Bulawayo, they don't really get along. There's always a fight on social media.
Of course, always.
I mean, why are we doing that?
I have no idea. Do they even have an idea? You know, some people just like to cause trouble. You see, the problem is, in the main, is that you have a number of people who just hate for the sake of hating. You know, and then they inspire that in other people, because inspiring love in people and collaboration in people is a lot harder to do.
You know, what's really interesting? I met Muzi in Bulawayo. I don't know Bulawayo. He has been showing me around. He's the guy that is holding the camera right now. I came here and I feel at home because of people like him. I've been connected with a lot of people in Bulawayo. I felt at home. Despite the language barrier, I don't understand.
I'll tell you something that you may not know about the Ndebele people.
Yeah.
So this is not casting aspersions on any tribe whatsoever.
Yeah.
However, bear in mind the origins of the Ndebele people. Yeah. The Ndebele people are from a disparate number of tribes.
Exactly.
Mzilikazi either conquered or people joined him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what happens is you have a whole bunch of tribes who now are mashed together into one nation. The Ndebele people. Okay. And that we can't even bring the Shona people and the Matabele people together. Imagine what a skill this king had to bring these tribes together, to collaborate and work together. So when Ndebele people meet people from other cultures, from other tribes, to them it's natural to be welcoming and to. However, I can't say the same about people from other tribes.
It's really sad.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But if you understand the background of the Ndebele people, you get a little insight into the fact that they are hospitable. I mean, I'm a white person living in a totally. I said to a friend of mine, I said, why do they always welcome me, you know, and make me happy that even in areas down there? I said, what? He said, well, you're the only white person living in the area. And I'm like, no, that's not possible.
That's not possible.
He said, no, you're the only white person living in the rural community. Yes, there are people living in businesses, you know, in lodges or whatever,
exactly.
running businesses. But you're the only white person living in a rural community. And I was like, how is that possible?
It's not, because like, let me tell you something. For me to be able to be talking to you, I did not contribute much. People in Bulawayo actually said, you are here. We are responsible for you. We are going to make everything work. I'll be standing there and they'll be making things move. So I can't possibly fathom the fact that they would be treating you nice because you are like this.
I know, but what I'm saying is they welcomed me as one of their own,
exactly,
regardless of where I come from or what my origins are. And I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't run barefoot with the Pekingese. I didn't have one of those old Rhodesian stories.
Yeah.
My father was an electrician. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. I lived in a relatively poor area of Bulawayo, and nobody cares. Do you know what I mean? Nobody cares.
Yeah. Do you think that things are going to get better for Africa in the future?
It requires African people to wake up.
Yeah. Are we going to wake up?
I don't know. It's up to you. I can't make those decisions for you. I woke up, as a white person, I woke up to the fact that black people are not my enemy. I don't have anything to fear from black people.
Yes. Nothing at all.
Exactly. But in the mindset of many white people, there is a fear element still.
You know,
it's a very complicated story, but that's not going to happen here.
I mean, in other countries, they don't really welcome strangers like that much. You had to play a certain role for them to welcome you. But here in Africa, if you are a stranger,
absolutely,
you are respected.
When I left Europe, a long, complicated story. I'd been married for 22 years, wasn't happy. I left. I had nothing. I started all over again.
Yeah.
And that was the catalyst for me coming home. And I was depressed in a way. I certainly wasn't who I am now.
Yeah.
And when I drove through Africa, African people gave me my joy back. You know why? Because all you have to do is you have to wave and smile, and you get the best white smile from African people, and you get the wave, and they're happy to see you. Now, you as a black person try and do that in Europe.
Wow,
they'd be like, whoa, watch out, crazy black person. Even if I wave at everybody in the street, you know, I mean, I used to do the wave test to judge how friendly the people were in the country. The country that failed was Cameroon. Nigeria, I love the people in Nigeria. Even in Democratic Republic of Congo. I mean, I was standing in a town near the coast, Maunda, and I picked up a guy. You know, as you do in Africa as a white woman. I picked up a guy on this, I was lost. I picked up a guy, he was going the same way that I was. I was like, it'd really be crude of me to leave him on the street when I'm going in the same direction. So I picked him up with all his katunda and I said, okay, let's go. And he took me to the phone shop to get data. He took me to change my money. He showed me where the petrol station was. I would have missed it because it was like a 1920s petrol station in a building somewhere. It was like really weird. Anyway, and I was standing in the street, and they never see white people in the street because they're all in cars, windowed cars, being chauffeur driven somewhere. And I drew this because I was making a joke with. I didn't speak French, so I was making jokes with them, and I was like, no, I want to pay this much, not this much, you know. And I was drawing this crowd. They were like, who's this woman? Like, what is she doing here? You know, like, but nobody attacked me. Nobody did, you know, everybody like, oh, Democratic Republic of Congo. Oh my God. Okay. It was all the way on the western side. But, you know, I think we have this irrational fear of Africa. And African people really have big hearts, big smiles.
It's amazing.
Like I say, I wanted to come back to the warm heart of Africa. 75% of our students fail. You can't expect a people who have no network to be able to Google something. You know, I'm like, how do they get information? So I tell them things that are obvious to me because I've been around the world. I've been to places. I've experienced things. I've seen things. I read a lot.
Yeah.
I have access to Kindle, and so I read books, and they don't have any of that.
What should we do to incorporate them?
Firstly, let's get our rural areas on network. You know, please God, they approve Starlink because, really and truly, it would be a life changer for people just
Here
to have
in the rural areas.
Well, they can't afford it mainly here, but if we could get our shopping areas connected, or if there was a place where people could actually go to get connected, then it's possible for them to Google or to get online books or any of those things. They can't do even I struggle. I have a bit of network here. I mean, I got a phone call today, which is amazing.
Thank God for
which is, wow. And I'm always terrified halfway through I'm going to get cut off, So I have a little bit of network here, but really and truly, if I leave here, you're in the dark. I had a booster for our area approved about a year ago. Please tell me where it is. Because I've asked the Member of Parliament, I've asked all sorts of people, nobody seems to know where it is.
That's a good
Then
question.
I get a whole blah, 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 and I'm like, that's not cutting it, because that's not delivering what we need. We need network. We need to be connected. I can't even connect with my friends over there and say, guys, I can't do the meeting today, or where are you?
Yeah.
Are you still, if they have an emergency, they can't let me know. If you have a child, you can't phone the clinic and say, I'm bringing my child in.
emergency.
Is there somebody there? There's nothing that you can do in an emergency or just a basic communication. It's the 21st century.
Exactly.
It's online. For heaven's sake, we
Everything is online.
need connectivity in the rural areas. If I'm doing a tourism project, I have no network. How do people make bookings? How do they phone us?
And yet people would love to come here.
Exactly. So you want to transform rural areas? Start with basics like network.
Before colonization, there was agriculture. There was barter trade between states. Why is there no barter trade between Matobo and other villages somewhere else? We barely see that today.
Because capitalism doesn't work that way. Capitalism is a machine that is not about people. It's about making the few rich and the many poor, turning people into slaves. We have a new kind of slavery. We pay you, but you're still slaves.
Yeah. 9 to 5, you do that, and then 30 years down the line, you got nothing.
I have very unpopular views. I'm not sure that my talk to you is going to be very popular.
It is. You have no idea. You have no idea.